Welcome, Forest Heights families, to Forest Heights Live. Yes, I'm so excited to have all of you here. And why do I all of a sudden feel like I have a talk show, Forest Heights Live? I would love to be able to tell you that we have a musical guest for tonight, but our Forest Heights boy band of Mr. Stry and Mr. Hernandez were not available. They wanted to reprise their Seven Continents song, but they're not available. But we do have some special guests that I am going to introduce to you a little bit later on in the show. But in the spirit of the talk show tonight, we're going to do our top 10 list. Actually, top 5 lists. We only got 5 responses, but that's okay. We're going to do it. Our top 5 list. This is our top 5 list of things that teachers are looking forward to the most when they return to on-campus instruction. All right. We're going to start with number 5. Number 5, Mr. Tweed and Mr. Robinson can finally, Mr. Richardson, excuse me, can finally stop playing on the playground by themselves. They're always out there on lunch breaks by themselves playing at the playgrounds. Kind of sad. It'd be nice to have your students back. Number 4, Mrs. Soriano's tired of singing 4-part harmonies by herself. My goodness, that is one talented lady. I'll tell you that much. If she can do the 4-part harmony, I'm impressed. Number 3, our faculty kids think we're crazy because we keep popping into the room to look at real live kids. Oh my goodness. We have our faculty kids here with us, so that's awesome for us, but they're a little tired of us popping in. We're excited to have your students back. Number 2, the men can finally wear dress pants instead of just shirts, ties, and basketball shorts. That's a Zoom joke because, we're only, never mind. Let's move on to the number 1 reason teachers are excited to have your scholars back in class. Number 1, teachers are tired of giving detentions to themselves. It's sad. They're in the dean's office all by themselves. I don't know why. We have no students, but that's okay. So we're excited, like I said, to have all your students coming back on September 14th. But I have some special guests that I want to introduce to you right now. First off, we have our esteemed leader, Headmaster Dowdy. Yay.
Thank you, Luis. Good to see everybody tonight. Thank you for being here at the town hall.
All right. We also have in the building tonight, she is number 2 in charge, but she's number 1 in your hearts. Here we have Assistant Headmaster Ramirez. There she is. Oh, look at her. See, already with
Good evening, everybody. I'm unmuted now.
There you go. All right. It's good to see you both. I'm sure everyone is excited to see you. Mr. Dowdy, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, Mr. Ruiz, thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Ruiz has done a lot to get this the stream up. And so one of the things you're going to see a couple times this evening is our agenda. So Mrs. Ramirez, let's get right to it. First off, one of the things I'm going to talk about is our phase-in plan. So parents, we are going to be inviting your scholars back on Monday, September 14, and I can't tell you how excited I am. It is absolutely fantastic. So our phase-in plan is going to be like this. We sent an email, I think, on social media as well. Monday, September 14, we're going to be welcoming back kindergarten and first grade. The following day, second and third grade will join our kinder and firsts back here on campus on Tuesday. Wednesday, we will follow with fourth and fifth. And then Thursday, all of our students will now be on campus, and then they'll be on campus for the rest of the year. I say that because after we shared the email and then after we shared some things on social media, some people were in a bit of a panic wondering whether fourth and fifth grade was only going to be back on Wednesdays ever. No, we want them here all the time. So when you come back to brick and mortar, please come every day that school is open. That's going to be important. So I do want to answer some questions about our phase-in. So some of you might be wondering, well, okay, I understand what my kinder and first grader are going to do from Monday on, but what about my second and third grader on Monday? What are they going to be doing? Well, we will be having distance learning activities available for them, just like their distance learning fellow students who are going to be remaining in distance learning for the rest of the year. And just a reminder, by midnight tonight is when you will need to finalize any changes that you're going to be making in your learning environment, whether that's going to continue after September 14 in distance learning, or whether you're going to be choosing to return back to campus. But anyway, on that Monday, if you have a second and third grade student, they're going to be doing the distance learning activities that their distance learning fellow students are going to be doing as well. And then one other question I'm sure that some of you are thinking about in terms of the phase-in. I know many of you are blessed with many children, and I'm so thankful that you trust us with your entire family. I feel really honored by that, and I know our teachers do as well. But this phase-in approach could be a bit of a challenge for you because you're going to have maybe a couple of kids at distance learning while you're bringing them back to brick and mortar and trying to navigate pickup. And I appreciate that struggle. So if it's more convenient for you to just bring all of your students when your oldest student returns to campus, that's fine. You don't have to bring your kid, if you're choosing brick and mortar, you don't have to choose bring your kiddos on that Monday. It's a good thing, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. But if it's more convenient for you to bring everybody on the Thursday or the day that your oldest student is allowed to return back to campus, that's perfectly fine as well. And if that was confusing to you, please don't hesitate to send an email to info@greatheartsforestheights.org, and we'll be sure to get some better clarity on that. So why are we phasing in? I certainly think that's a valid question. So one of the things that our phase-in is going to allow us to do is to provide our students with the necessary training to come back to school. That might be an odd statement, but if you would, think for a minute. Mrs. Ramirez is going to talk about some of the details that our students are going to have to attend to in a couple of minutes. But I want you to understand, when we walk into school, when we walk the hallways, when we go to lunch, when we play at recess, when we use the restrooms, there's just a lot of things that are normal that are going to have to change because of our new COVID environment and our new desire to keep things safe and secure. So that's our phase-in plan at a glance. And again, can't tell you, we're really looking forward to seeing your students here. Really looking forward to it. I know a couple of you are very anxious to find out about sectioning. Sectioning, so you understand, is what we do. We have over 90 students in first grade, and so we have 3 sections in order to handle them and that we can give them all a good education. When we section our students, the larger group, into those subsections, we want to do so in a balanced way across a number of different factors. And I'm going to tell you about a couple of them. The first one's pretty obvious, well, at least obvious to anyone who's raised a couple of kids before, is that, well, boys and girls, they're different. And if we have too many of one and too few of another in a class, it can make it difficult for our teachers to have good classroom management. And so we want our sections to be balanced in that way with a good equal amount of both boys and girls. Another feature that we balance our classrooms by is academics. We work to ensure that our classes have a balance of academic strengths in both reading and mathematics. This actually is the only legal way to organize our sections, but it also provides the best learning environment for all of the students. Behavior is another area that we want to have a good balance. What do I mean by this? Well, how shall I say this? We have some students who just need some extra attention. It might be a boy who's got the wiggles, or maybe it's a little girl who's extra chatty, but we want to make sure that each class has an even mix of students, of those students who are making an extra effort to develop their own self-discipline. So we want to be sure that we're paying attention to those things. And then finally, our special student services. We have some students on campus and we love them so much, but for a variety of reasons, they just need some extra support. And so we work to be very strategic in their placement so that they are able, just like everybody else, to get the best education possible. So sometimes that means that we have to pair a few kiddos up together. Other times we want to make sure that we spread them out evenly in a grade so that our teachers in the classrooms are able to spend the very specific time necessary that they require so that they can get an excellent educational experience. So one other thing I do want to acknowledge about sectioning that's really, really important, and that is the relationship, and I think this is most important to you families, is a relationship of the teacher and the student. I personally can tell you the name of each and every one of my elementary school teachers. Ms. Freifogel for kindergarten, Mrs. Couch and Mrs. Bridle for first grade, Mrs. Bridle for second grade, Mrs. Graves for third grade, one of my favorite teachers of all time. Mrs. Frey I had for French all 9 years. Remember, I grew up in Canada. Second language there was French. And I could go on. I love these teachers. I'm actually still in contact with many of them thanks to the miracle of social media. And I know that the impact that our teachers are having and will have on your students. Why? Well, I interviewed and I hired every single one of them. They are fantastic teachers. However, for the sake of balance, there will be some students when they come back to brick and mortar on September 14, a small number who will be changing sections. This is unfortunately unavoidable, but please stop. Don't go immediately to the website and change your selection from brick and mortar to distance learning. I think I have some good news to share with you. And also, I'd like to introduce you to a different perspective that might be helpful for you. So when our students come back on September 14, any students who are starting first quarter in the distance learning environment, they will be in a section in that section for the rest of the year, at least for our kindergarten through fourth grade. Fifth, sixth, and seventh, they see during the day, they see all of their teachers all day long because our teachers specialize in subjects. So for instance, Mr. McCauley, he's going to be teaching all of math for all of fifth grade. We don't have the same lead teacher relationship that we do in our younger grades. But mainly for our kinder through fourth grade, our teachers are all going to be teaching both brick and mortar students and distance learning students at the same time. Actually, I just realized I hadn't let you know that. That's one of the changes that we've made just in the last couple of weeks, actually last couple of days, to be honest. So this has been a big change and it's required some adjustments on our teachers who are working really hard to get themselves prepared. But our students, you've seen me do this before, 2 sections, right? Distance brick and mortar and 1 section of distance learning. Actually, we're going to have 3 smaller sections, social distance, so that our students in the classrooms, and we're going to show you the classrooms in a minute, but that our students, once they're in the brick and mortar sections, A, B, and C, they're going to stay there for the rest of the year. They're going to stay and have that fidelity of their lead teacher for the rest of the year. Well, what about the distance learning kids? Who's going to be their lead teacher? I'm really happy to tell you that the way that we're planning things is for our distance learning students, they get to have relationships with all of the lead teachers and the apprentice teachers in these grades. Our teachers during the day are going to be doing Zoom tutorings with your students all year long. And we will be making sure that in first grade, you get to see Mrs. Gordon, Mrs. Weber, and Mrs. Rata and develop a relationship. So that way, when you come back from the distance learning back to the brick and mortar, whenever you choose to do that at a quarter, and we fill you in a balanced way, that your student is going to have know who their lead teacher is and is going to feel comfortable being in their class. We are really looking forward to bringing your students back onto campus. And as I said before, we have a lot of things, and you see the agenda. You might have seen the agenda there now. So, Mrs. Ramirez, if you wouldn't mind coming back online, and what I would like you to talk about is what are the preventative measures that we have enacted here as part of our distance learning, our brick and mortar for our school?
Yes, Headmaster Dowdy, there has been a lot going on campus. There's boxes everywhere, and there's some changes to how Great Hearts Forest Heights will both look and run this year. The first of these that I want to highlight is the upgraded air filters that we have in our building. They have been upgraded to a medical grade level, and we also have so much hand sanitizer. It is actually way more than I can even dream of. We have wall dispensers in the classrooms for hand sanitizers, and we have boxes and boxes and boxes of refills for those wall dispensers and large bottles of it all over the campus so that we can keep those students healthy. We're also incorporating an extra day porter to our building, so an extra staff member who is going to be sanitizing those high traffic areas during the day, like the bathrooms and the doorknobs and the NPR, all of those things where germs can really gather. We're vamping up our nightly cleaning. We have a daily 360 sanitizing treatment that will occur each night in order to reset our building for the next day. We've heard of these desk shields that are coming. They're supposed to come tomorrow. Kindergarten through third grade desks will be outfitted with them, pictured here. And that's going to allow us to have some freedom in the classrooms as far as the mask wearing. Additionally, any person who comes into our building, volunteers and visitors, like non-staff members, will be temperature checked before allowed entry into our building. They will be required to wear a mask and will have to stay socially distanced. Lastly, probably the most exciting change that we've made is we have created specialized Falcon gaiters. They're going to be given to each and every student, and we're going to talk a lot about face coverings later, but I'm really excited about this gift that we're giving to the students that's going to help keep them healthy, and it looks pretty snazzy. Headmaster Dowdy?
There we go. Thank you, Ms. Beard. What would a town hall be if we didn't have a little technical difficulty? So thank you for that. And families, it's my responsibility now to discuss with you a little bit about, well, what happens? What happens if one of our faculty, one of our staff, or even one of our students contracts COVID-19 or even starts to develop some of the symptoms of COVID-19? So one of the first things that I think I want to do is I want to show you this website. And this website is and you can see I believe Mr. Ruiz is putting up the link right now. This is our Safe Return website. And we sent an email this week with Nurse Vonberg. She is our new district nurse for Great Hearts, Texas. And she has a 10-minute video detailing many of the significant points of our response program for how we are going to handle both symptoms and positive cases. Strongly encourage you to make sure that you watch this video. It is very, very, very important. I'm not going to go through a lot of the specific details right now because, well, quite frankly, there's a lot of details. And this medium of verbal communication on a screen just isn't the best way to go through those specific things. What I would like you to do is I'd like you to go to this website or check out the emails that we've already sent and look through some of these bits of information that we have, all the way down to, yes, hygiene at school. So one of the things I would like to reassure you parents is, and let me stop sharing this, the website, there we go, is that our network really has created a series of contact tracing and quarantine regulations to ensure that we minimize and stop the spread of school. When we show you the classrooms in a couple of minutes, one of the things that you're going to see is the desks are very far apart. Also, we have a low number of students in each section. That's one of the reasons why we no longer are doing 2 sections, but we're actually going concurrent with all of our sections open. And the reason is because that allows us to keep lower numbers of students in the class. It allows us to keep them farther apart, which means that if anyone does get sick or does contract the virus, that means that, well, it's those within 6 feet who have spent more than 15 minutes. And we want to minimize the number of students in a class that are going to need to quarantine themselves because they had close contact. So that's one of the things that we are doing. That's a specific step for our plan. Another thing is we have an isolation room. So should any student during the day develop some symptoms that are similar to COVID, they're going to be escorted to a private room away from our clinic, so away from all the other students. And that way they can see the nurse privately and the nurse can examine them to determine whether they need to be picked up by you really quickly or whether it's just a cold and the student can, the nurse's regular protocols will come into place. And then lastly, we also have a COVID tracker. So by Monday, September 14, our school website is going to have a tracker on it. And right now it's going to be at 0. But then what we will have is as there are positive cases by any of our students, our staff, or our faculty, that number will go up and down as occurs. One other thing I do want to mention, and I do want to make sure that you understand, is due to regulations, we will never be able to share with you the names of students who or faculty who have contacted COVID. If we have determined that your student has ever been in close contact with someone who has had a positive case, our nurse or one of our administrators will be personally calling you. If there is a student who in your section or the teacher in your section develops a positive case, and if there's no close contact, we'll be sure to email you. We will be working to keep you abundantly informed so that you can make good and healthy decisions for your families as we are seeking to serve them. So we had alluded that there are, Mrs. Ramirez, certain responsibilities besides our COVID response protocols that our students and our teachers are going to be taking care of. So, oh, you're over here. So would you mind telling our families how our students and our teachers need to take more responsibility and what that means?
Yes. So our teachers are going to have some new specific responsibilities, and it starts at home each morning. Our teachers are going to be conducting self-screenings on themselves each morning prior to arriving on campus, taking their temperature, making sure they don't have any of those symptoms, because if they're sick, we want them to stay home. When they do come on campus, they're going to be wearing personal protective equipment, or PPE, mainly in the form of a mask. They could additionally have a face shield, but never a face shield alone. They're also going to be very diligent in both creating and maintaining seating charts so that we're minimizing contacts between students, which is going to be important for contact tracing. They're going to be creating and teaching students to help with some of the cleaning routines in the classroom, and while also monitoring students for symptoms. Our teachers are going to be onboarding new procedures like social distancing, proper mask wearing techniques, and reinforcing rigorous hand washing. Now, parents, you have a job too, and we're going to need you to self-screen your children before you bring them to campus each day. If your child is sick, please keep them home. This will ensure, one, that they get better faster. They're going to get some rest that their body needs. It's also going to help us keep the rest of the student population healthy. Lastly, our students, they have some responsibilities and ownership in this too. Social distancing is going to be an ongoing expectation with lots of gentle reminders to students because it's different. But we're going to have to make sure that they're following their teacher's instructions on how to do this properly. Now, students in grades 4 through 7 will be wearing a face covering all day, except during certain times when it wouldn't be appropriate, like lunch, recess, and PE. K3 students have a slightly different ruling because when they're seated at their desks with those desk shields in place, they don't have to wear a mask. But if they need to get up to go to the bathroom or to grab something from their cubby, they will have to put their mask on. Now, this is an excellent opportunity to highlight those gaiters I mentioned earlier, because these are going to be a great option for students. If you are a parent of any Great Hearts child, which you are because you're here like me, you know about the sweaters. They disappear. They get left on the playground and left on the floor and left in the classroom and in the bottom of the backpack. And I don't know where my kids' sweaters are half of the time. I foresee this happening with the masks. And so these gaiters are going to be a better option because they're just going to live around their necks, and they go up and they go down and they go up and they go down. They're not in pockets because the girls' jumpers don't even have pockets. They're not just flying around in our hands where we're going to drop them as we're running around on the recess field. And they look sharp. They're navy blue. They have that beautiful Falcon logo on them. I'm excited for them. But they are optional. If you choose to wear a different kind of face covering, we do have some guidelines. One, it has to be a solid color or a simple repetitive pattern. Mr. Ruiz has some great examples of our approved patterns on the screen. There are some things that are not allowed. No pop culture, of course, no camouflage, no symbolism, no words. Parents, if you think about our uniform policy, we're really aligning our mask policy in accordance with it. We do not want the mask to become the focus of conversations, or at least minimize the distraction, because they will cause a little bit of them, but minimize that distraction that they're causing in the classroom. Now, this is going to be a big task, But with parents and teachers and students all owning some of that responsibility, I know we're going to knock this one out of the park. Headmaster Dowdy, back to you.
Actually, Mrs. Ramirez, we've been spending so much time talking about our COVID responses and then also the responsibilities of the teachers and the students. Why don't we take some time and actually show the parents our classrooms, show them the recess field, and show them, where, well, yeah, why don't we, by we, I mean, would you mind just showing them and showing them the classrooms right now? Can you do that, please?
Like right now?
Yes, you. Can you
Run
go?
down the hallway.
Yes.
I wore heels today.
Sorry.
But, okay. 10 seconds. Hey, I'm in first grade with Miss Means, and she's going to show you a little bit about your classroom. Miss Means?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a first grade classroom. Let's take a look around the room and see how things are going to look once your students come back to class. Here, right at the entry door, we have a hand sanitizer station. And as I walk by these desks, you'll notice how spread out they are. We're able to fit in the smaller class size that we'll have in the classroom with very good spacing. You'll also see that these desks, although they don't have the desk shields right now, they're coming and they will be here on every desk. Right here, we have our own bathroom that we share with another classroom. It has a sink with soap and paper towels. We also have another sink out here, soap and paper towels with more hand sanitizer. We are all ready to keep your kiddos safe and clean as much as possible. As we go around here, you'll see Ms. Dowling, my apprentice teacher, working hard, and we are so excited and ready for your kiddos to come back, and can't wait to see you soon.
Oh, hey, Mrs. Ramirez, are you okay?
Yes! I wanted to bring my family to show what your room looks like.
Hello, family. This is my classroom. I'm Miss Tasek. I'm a third grade teacher, so this is a third grade classroom. As you can see, right when you walk in, there's a sanitizing station for our scholars, so we'll be able to sanitize when we're coming in and out of the classroom. As you can also see, I think like first grade classroom, the desks are very spread out. But unlike first grade, we don't have a bathroom in our classroom, so we're going to be working with scholars to be able to leave the room and to wash their hands and follow all the rules and everything like that. And also, just as a reminder, in third grade, we will also be having the desk shields around our desks. Oh, hey, Mr. Tweed's here too. Say hi, Mr. Tweed.
Ms. Tasek, that was excellent. Thank you. So families, we will be getting those shields in momentarily. They should be arriving, I believe, tomorrow, and then they will be installed next week. Very glad to have those up and to provide that extra level of protection. Mrs. Ramirez is just running up the stairs now to our second floor so that you can see our fifth grade and one of our seventh grade rooms. Yeah, she should probably be there right now. So let's go to our reporter in the field, Mrs. Ramirez. Mrs. Ramirez?
Stairs, right?
Stairs. Can you tell them about your room?
Of course. So if you notice, the first thing that you see when you come in is our sanitizing station. So children will be able to wash their hands when they leave or enter the room. And we'll be going over, on our first day of school, how we're going to be doing that. The proper way to wash your hands, how frequently we should be washing our hands, and things of that nature. Then as you enter the room, you can see that all of our desks are socially distanced. Unfortunately, we won't be having shields, our desk shields, but we will be requiring face masks at all times. And we'll be taking frequent breaks so we can go outside and get some fresh air. Over here we have my lovely AT, Alex Moon, who many of you have already met.
Hold up, Mrs. Ramirez. Hit up that hand sanitizer station.
Thanks for the reminder, Mr. Floody.
Oh, no problem. Well, as you can see, welcome to our lovely 7th grade classroom. All of us are hard at work in here. You can see we've got our desks all spread out for our wonderful children. We've got over here, we've got Mr. Sicking, deep involved in a nice book. Mr. Tripleton over here, far in the other corner working on his math problems. And finally, the lovely Miss Kucinich, hard at work preparing for her literature seminars. As I mentioned, you can see all of our desks. We've got tons of space in between all of our tables, keep our kids nice and socially distanced. And for our seminars that Ms. Kucinich will be leading, we'll actually be able to take our chairs and spread them out all around the room so that all of our kids will still be able to see each other and discuss with each other. You may also notice we're all wearing our masks in here, our kiddos as well. We'll all be wearing masks as well. That's why we don't have the desk shields that the lower grades have. They'll either be wearing masks or their gaiters. We will also be, during this time, not that they need it, but just in case, going over proper hand washing material, proper hand washing procedures. And and one other exciting thing that we have this year is we have these new and beautiful lockers. So we will also be talking with our 7th graders about proper techniques to get to and from their lockers without being all up in everybody's business. We're going to have some staggered class changes so that everybody can go to and from their classes and not spend too much time in close proximity with each other.
Mrs. Ramirez, thank you so much. You okay? You got your breath?
I don't have to walk the dog tonight. It's raining, so good thing I just got it all in right now. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, I think I agree with Mr. Floody. I think not only our 7th graders, but also really all of us adults might need to have the odd reminder on how to wash hands. Yeah, I've seen some odd techniques myself. All right, so do we have anything else that we can show them?
We could, they probably want to see the lunchroom and the recess field and all of that, but Mr. Ruiz, he hasn't gotten his workout yet, so I'm going to pass it over to him so he can do some running around.
Mr. Ruiz, yeah, could you go and show everybody? I don't think you'd mind, right?
Go outside. It's raining, Mr. Ruiz. It's raining. Have fun.
I'm just the host. You know what? I can do that. It's a good thing I created that pre-recorded video earlier.
Okay, Mr. Ruiz.
All right, parents, here we are in a hallway, and I'd like to show you what our hallways are going to look like, specifically when your scholars are waiting in line. Now, this is going to be at times where they might be waiting for lunch or during pickup time, where they'll wait in the hallways to be called. And as I'm walking past, you're going to start seeing blue dots on the floor. Now, these blue dots are socially distanced. They are 6 feet apart, and they're 6 feet across in the hallways, so that your students are going to be safe when they're waiting in line. So in our cafeteria, our children will be having a socially distant lunch. As you can see on our tables are marked with red dots all along the benches. These dots have numbers. Each student will have a number pertaining to them so that they know exactly where they're going to sit. So as you can see, I'm out here on the playground, and some of our staff kids that are with us here on campus are playing, and they're staying socially distant. And as long as they're staying socially distant, we're okay with that. They can take off their mask. But once they start congregating and talking, hey girls, remember to please put on your mask when you're talking to each other. Thank you so much. Then we'll gently remind them to put their masks back on.
Mr. Ruiz, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And we will be working, parents, to make sure that when your students are in the recess field and the recess area, and it's a lot larger now, that they're making use of all of the space, because our teachers, well, they need your students tired. Tired students are, well, they're just better students, and we love them when they've had that chance to go out and play and do what humans do. Mrs. Ramirez, I have one more thing I think we should do before we get to the question and answers. And being that we've made some changes for our brick and mortar, our teachers are now teaching all day, and they're also doing the distance learning at the same time. Would you mind letting our families know, which way are you? You're this way. How they're going to do distance learning? Is that okay? Can we do a high five?
There we go. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So as I was running down the hallway, you can feel the excitement and the energy as we prepare for these students. And we're really excited, but this does come with some slight changes to our distance learning schedule. Obviously, the main driver behind these minor changes is that our teachers need to be in front of our students during those instructional periods. Now, as previously stated, we're opening all 3 sections, kinder through 4th grade, to allow for that highest amount of social distancing possible. And in 5th through 7th grade, we are also opening sections that will keep the classes very small. In distance learning, the workload will be staying the same, both in the amount of time a student's going to be engaged in the materials, and that they'll find those materials, the asynchronous videos, the assignments, in their Google Classroom. Additionally, the types and the numbers of synchronous Zooms will remain mostly unchanged. The primary change is just going to be when they're happening. Shared on the screen here, and boy, that font is a little tiny, is a school-wide picture of what distance learning is going to look like. A lot of the shift has made it look even more similar to that of what a student would be experiencing on campus. So the 1st grade schedule looks like a 1st grade brick and mortar schedule. My hope is that this allows for an easy transition when you decide that it's best for your family, for your student to come back. Now, one of the things that is missing is that one-on-one tutoring option that we had in the afternoons. And I want to tell you why. I loved hearing stories from our teachers about the relationships that they were able to form during this time. It's important to start the year off that way. However, just as our students and families who attend on-campus instruction would do, we ask that individualized concerns be addressed through requesting a parent-teacher conference. So you'll email the teacher, ask for a conference, and at that conference, a plan can be made to support your child with maybe some one-on-one tutoring after school hours. Now, specific student-facing distance learning schedules will be being sent home. You don't have to try to gather all the data from that picture there. I just wanted to show you that. Lastly, as Headmaster Dowdy shared earlier, our teachers are becoming concurrent teachers. Again, this means that they're teaching brick and mortar students and our distance learning students. And parents, I just want to be completely honest with you. These teachers are working extremely hard, learning new things daily about how to consistently improve their already amazing knowledge and increase their execution level in this unique teaching time. They're working really hard. And I tell you this because they're also humans. And when hiccups occur, whether it's on campus here or it's online, we hope that you will exchange relentless goodwill, grace, and gratitude with us, just as we will extend it with you. Our distance learners are going to continue to have interactions with all of these teachers. And I hope that when they do come back, it's a smooth transition because they're going to know all of our teachers. I'm really excited about this on-campus opening now, and I'm glad that our distance learning schedule changes have been minor. But if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and I'll be happy to answer them. Back to you, Headmaster Dowdy.
Mrs. Ramirez, thank you very much. And now we are going to open up our time for our question and answer. And you're going to see in a moment down here at the bottom, there's going to be some questions pop up. So Mr. Ruiz, if you wouldn't mind getting the first one up, that would be great.
Yes, we had a question earlier here that I'm looking for. Where did that question go? There it is. It's a question from Miss Stephanie Green. She asked, when will we find out which lead teacher our lower school students would have if they go to campus?
Excellent question. So as we said earlier, midnight tonight is your last chance to change your selection. And again, I love all of our teachers. They're fantastic. I know many of you have created some lasting long-term relationships already in these short 2.5 weeks. Please trust me, that's going to continue if they come back and if their section changes. But we're going to be working on our sections tomorrow, and then Tuesday after Labor Day, we will be letting you know. And our teachers, as is normal at Great Hearts Forest Heights, is we will begin to make phone calls to you prior to the first day of school. So Tuesday will be the day. And Mr. Ruiz, number 2.
All right. We have a a question here from Tracy Colwell. And she asked, what about children who have medical exemptions based on the ADA?
Yeah, that's a great question, and great opportunity for me to remind parents, please watch the video by Nurse Von Berg. There are exemptions that is allowed. There are also rules and procedures for making sure that that exemption happens. It's going to require a doctor's note, and it's going to require some documentation. So please make sure that you've cleared that with our nurse here on campus prior to sending your students without a mask. Because when they're here at school, they are going to need to have a mask, especially when they're in the common areas and that. So, yeah.
All right. Here's another question from Miss Haley Gallup. Is it Huting? I'm sorry, I probably messed up your name big time. I apologize. But I will get to know it. That's my job. It's part of my job as well. She asked, what is the plan for kids who stay home for mild illness? Can they hop into distance learning curriculum for a few days? And how can they keep up with the learning?
Yeah, and this is a great question, and I love this question because it helps me to say something that I often say to my teachers who call in sick, and they say, you know, they're at home, they've got a fever, they're not feeling well, and they say, but Headmaster Dowdy, can I work from home? And my comment to them is, no, don't. Take a bath, have a nap, get some sleep, get well. So parents, when our students are sick, let's let them get better. Our regular procedures and protocols will fall into place if they have a cold or if they have the flu for a couple of days. Our teachers are going to save their homework. For every day that they're absent, if they miss an assignment, we're going to give an extra day of grace to make sure that they can get caught up. Our teachers are going to work hard with them, especially during our Lyceum period, to make sure that they catch up. So no, I don't really want them doing the distance learning. I want them sleeping, taking a nap, drinking some orange juice and just getting better. I want that to be the focus. So please, let's not worry about what happens when our kids get sick. Let's let them get better. And then when they come back to school, we're going to work really hard to make sure they don't miss a beat.
Awesome. I think I have a question here that might be better suited for Assistant Headmaster Ramirez. So
yeah, I've been taking a couple of these.
I know.
Ramirez, this is yours.
Yes. So here we have a question from Miss Crystal Martinez. So if we stay in distance learning or being taught by all grade level teachers, who can we contact to request tutoring?
That's a great question, Mr. Ruiz. So if you are 5th through 7th grade, where the teachers are content specific, then if you have a math problem, you'll reach out to the math teacher. If you are a K-4 teacher, you will still be assigned a homeroom teacher. You're just going to be in a Google Classroom with all of the distance learners. You still will find out who your homeroom teacher is, and that's who you would reach out and contact if you're struggling. However, it may be if you're struggling in math, you might not see your teacher for math tutoring, depending on what the issue is, because we are going to try to maximize our tutoring time. But you will have a point of contact. Have no fear, Miss Martinez, and any other parents who are wondering that as well.
Awesome. Let's bring Headmaster Dowdy back in. Let's see. Do we have any other great questions? Actually, we have a lot of great questions, but we have a question here, Headmaster Dowdy, from Miss Lindsay Meager. If we're supposed to keep our kids home for suspected COVID and a kid has a fever, and is a negative test required to come back? That's a great question.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if anyone knows, but I'm not a nurse, nor am I a doctor. But I first want to say, Ms. Meager, I absolutely appreciate this. There are symptoms that are symptoms of COVID that are also symptoms of just, well, being sick. So one of the things that Nurse Von Berg talks about, and if you haven't watched that video, I can't say it enough, you got to go and watch that video, please. There's a lot of good information on that, and also the Safe Return page for Great Hearts, Texas. But what we're looking for are the kinds of symptoms that are different than normal ones. So one of the symptoms is a cough. Does that mean anytime my child wakes up, and I have 3 at home who attend Great Hearts, that they wake up with a cough? Well, I don't know. Is the cough different than a normal cough that they have? I know personally, I developed some real sinus issues around January and February due to cedar. I get really bad cedar fever. So what I would encourage you to do, parents, is look at that information sheet and look over it in specific details. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact our nurse. Our nurse, Starlene Hildebrand, is absolutely fantastic, and she has been trained to answer all of these medical questions.
Awesome. I think I'm going to bring in Mrs. Ramirez back on this one. I think
Absolutely.
This is a question for her. Mrs. Ramirez, we have a question from Tracy McIntyre. So will each specific grade eat lunch and have recess together, or will they travel to art, music, and PE?
That is a great question. So usually we do have 2 grade levels having lunch at the same time in the NPR, and this time we will only have 1. It allows us to spread out a lot farther. What that means is every other day, students will be eating in the NPR, and then on the opposite days, they will be eating in their classroom so that we can still maintain our lunch schedule. They just won't always go to the NPR. Recess, last year we only had 1 grade level out at a time during our recess periods, and we're going to maintain that. Traveling to art will still happen. Those classrooms are some of my favorite once they start getting decorated with student work. And traveling to PE will still happen. We are going to stagger transitions so that we don't have all of the classes in the hallway at the same time. Music and Latin, last year it was just Latin. Music and Latin will be taught in the homeroom classrooms. So those teachers will be pushing in, minimizing some of the transition traffic that we have in our hallways, so that we can keep the students a little bit safer and minimize all of the back and forth. So we're trying to keep grade levels together, separated from each other as much as possible. And the day porters are just going to wipe down the walls all day long, up and down the hallways, I feel like.
They're going to do a tremendous job of just kind of sanitizing stuff. It's just amazing what they're doing. I'm going to bring Headmaster back in real quick because he has something that he actually wants to add on to what you're saying about the playground.
Yeah, Mrs. Ramirez, you forgot something, and it's not often that I actually remember something that which side are you on, that you forgot. So one of the other areas, families, that our students are going to be able to eat at this year, especially when the weather is nice, is we are getting some picnic tables. So at school, we were able to buy 10 of these, and then our PSO graciously has bought 10 more. So there are going to be 20 playground picnic tables set up all around our playground area. And on really nice days when it's their time to eat in their room, which I'll be honest, not the most fun place to eat, certainly a safe place, is our students will be able to go outside. And I do want to mention, Mrs. Ramirez did talk about how our rooms are going to be clean. I want to double down on this and make sure, parents, you understand. When we say clean, I mean every night, our building, the entire building, every room is sanitized. And so when we say that we're going to be keeping the place clean, we really do mean that. Our network has gone to a lot of effort and also a lot of money to do this. So I'm excited to tell you I'm excited to see our students eat outside and enjoy more of the fresh air. So Mr. Ruiz, another question, please, if you will.
Sure. I think we have time for one more question. So I'm going to, here's a great question from Mr. Jowdy. I think you're going to like this one. It's from Beth Zeller-Blaylock. For siblings of a child in close contact with a potential COVID case and required to stay home to quarantine, what is the protocol for siblings?
For siblings of a child in close contact with potential COVID case, yes. Okay. This is a great question. Oftentimes, I know my mind when we are dealing with COVID cases, or with this, as I've been working with the network to figure out, okay, how do I lead a school in this kind of environment? There's a number of, well, what about this situation? And well, what about this situation? So if I could, what I would like to do is just refer everybody back to this website. And I apologize, I don't want to seem like I'm just deferring to a website and not answering, but I do want to be specific because these details and these answers are very, very important. And on our website, we do have, as it loads here, you'll see, is our incident response guidelines. Also here, our health policy. And I'm just going to click on this here, view the guidelines. And there's a PDF here which has all of our protocols on here. And it's a long list, and I'm not going to read it because it's not necessarily going to be the most entertaining or good TV, if you will. But this is good information for you to look at and read. And I know that your answer is on there. So if you would look that over, and I think that will provide you with some good information. Parents, please make sure you look at Nurse Von Berg's video and look over that information. A lot of these questions require a lot of detail and careful answering, and sometimes I trip up over my tongue, so not the best place for me to answer. If you have further questions, though, Darlene Hildebrand, our nurse, is going to be your best source of information to contact. Her email is on our website. Please don't hesitate to reach out to her. So thank you, parents, for all of your questions. We have a couple more things that we want to go over in this town hall before we go away. Our distance learners, well, your supplies may have run out, or they're soon going to run out. We were sent supplies home up until the end of this week, and so next week we're going to have not necessarily distance learning light, but there's not going to be worksheets and things, and you'll see how some of that changes for next week as we prepare for September 14th and beyond. But we are going to be having a supply pickup. Well, you know what, Mrs. Ramirez, I think this is actually yours. Would you mind reminding our parents and letting them know how our supply pickup is going to go? And just again, another word about choosing their learning location for their students for September 14 and beyond. Mrs. Ramirez?
Yes. So a couple of quick reminders, like Headmaster Dowdy started to talk about, we are having a secondary supply pickup. It's going to take place on Friday, September 11th. And this is not just for the distance learner families. This is for everybody. We want you to all come back to campus because we're going to give you some very specific things. If you are returning to campus, we're going to give you the placard. If you are a returning family, you know that this placard is what drives our dismissal process. And so you're going to need it when you pick your kid up that first day. So we're going to give it to you on Friday, September 11th, along with those Gators, as long as they're here. And we're hoping, and we're being told that they're going to be here. So we'll be handing those out to you on September 11th. If you are a distance learning family, you will also receive a Gator, but you will be picking up supplies, worksheets, maybe an updated history textbook or science textbook. I know some of our Singapore math workbooks we ran out of, and so I've ordered more, and we're going to be giving those out to you to get you through October 2nd. And it's important to note that as we go through the school year, if you elect to stay in distance learning, we're going to be hosting these supply pickup days periodically so that we can put the things that you need back in your hands and also retrieve some of the things that you're no longer using. This constant exchange will happen about every 3 weeks. So more details will be coming about specific times and things that you possibly might need to bring back from the different grade levels. But we want you to save that date, Friday, September 11th. Now, here's the second one, and this one is important because it is only 5.5 hours away. Midnight tonight, families, is your deadline for changing your selection for your child. Now, if you don't want to change your selection, you don't have to do anything. I selected for my kids to come back to school. I don't need to go in there and like say, yes, I still want that. But if you want to change your mind, you need to go in and do that by midnight tonight so that we can begin to make any changes to our class rosters tomorrow to hand over to the teachers on Tuesday. Other than that, I think that's all the reminders I have, Headmaster Dowdy. I'm excited to see everyone come through the line on September 11th. I know you like love the line a little too much, almost as much as I like Spalding. Mr. Ruiz is probably going to break out those gloves. So September 11th, mark the date.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing you families. This is a family. We call you our Falcon family. We love your kids. I saw a parent today at school. It gave me the chills. It was really kind of fun. We miss you. And you are an important part of our school. It has been weird, not just not having students here on campus, but not even having volunteers. We miss seeing you here. And part of the thing that we do at our school, because we're a public classical liberal arts charter school, We don't receive the same kind of funding that other public schools do. And so we have a robust giving campaign, and you have made incredible contributions to that, and we are really thankful. San Antonio has a really big day called the Big Give. And well, you know what, Mr. Ruiz, I think you have a video about this because the Big Give moved from spring. So would you mind showing this video to tell our families a little bit about how the Big Give is going to work this year?
I would love to. Here we go.
Dear Great Hearts families.
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 My name is Jackie Fagan.
My name is Deanna Macias.
My name is Johanna Garcia.
My name is Daniel Ruiz.
My name is Amelia Villalbazo Dick.
We want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
for all your continued support
of our academies
during this pandemic.
All our campuses
have gone above and beyond
to ensure the health and safety of your scholars
when they return to our campuses.
We've installed
hand sanitizing stations throughout the building,
medical grade air conditioning filters,
plexiglass desk shields,
and we've also purchased
boxes of sanitizing wipes,
and so much more.
These upgrades have come at a tremendous cost.
So your support is needed.
Now more than ever.
Now more than ever.
Now more than ever. On Thursday, September 10th,
we will all be given
the opportunity
to give big.
To give big.
To give big.
The Big Give San Antonio
invades our city
for 24 hours
and gives you the chance to stretch your donation
even further.
Even further.
If you log on and give
at specified times throughout the day, your donation will be matched.
And double.
And double.
And double.
The Big Give starts midnight, September 10th.
And ends at 11:59
and 59 seconds
that same night.
Again, we want to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
for all of the support
you give our campuses.
Sincerely,
your
directors
of Academy
Giving.
Our Big Give is a really exciting event, and Great Hearts typically does a very good job. Our families represent our network well. So, Mr. Ruiz, thank you for hosting this event. Where are you? There you are, Mrs. Ramirez. Thank you for running around the school and making sure that our parents got to see our classrooms and stuff. So I did peek. I don't usually, but I did peek at the comments, and there's a couple things I did want to just quickly address because I think it's a beautiful question. One of our parents asked, will there ever be able to be class outside? Well, we have 20 picnic tables that are going to need to be used. And I know if I was a teacher at a school that had outdoor picnic tables and it was a nice day, yeah, we would probably head outside. So we will be doing that. And we want our students, especially when we're wearing masks and when we're having to breathe a little differently, to make sure that we have the opportunity for them to get outside as often as possible. So teachers, parents, we're going to be doing that. So we love you. September 14, we're looking for your students to be here. September 11th, we're looking forward to seeing you. Please put your kids in the car so that we can see you. They can see their teachers. Pick up the supplies that you need. Get that pickup placard and your gator because Mrs. Tysinger says they will be in, and we're looking forward to your return. Thank you so much for attending the town hall tonight. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.